the hot sauce away, guys, because this is possibly the spiciest championship season of all time. And because of this, there are going to be some absolute superstars emerge next season. And we're going to be the first ones to tell you, because that's what we do on the JLA channel. Let's go. Birmingham, Siriki Dembele, goal-scoring quality. The departures of Joe Bellingham, yep, his brother, and Tathit Chong felt like big losses at first, but with the signings that Birmingham have made, it doesn't feel half as bad anymore. Siriki Dembele, by the way, is an absolute joke of a signing. This is a player that would get into most top 6 championship sides and add quality to their attack as well. He didn't play much in the Premier League last season for Bournemouth, but in the promotion season, he added so much from that left wing. He's just as good creatively as he is at goal scoring, and he may well... yeah, go on. I think he could get double figures for both goals and assists next season. You heard it here first, as I said previously. So you heard it then first. Blackburn, Arne Sigurdsson could be even better. Yes, I'm about to say it then. Ben Brereton Diaz. Sacrilege, maybe. Well, let's see. Because this is a guy that not many will know much about. But when you research this guy, he looks fantastic. And I know sometimes we can get carried away with that and it could provide a false image of a player, but also his underlying numbers are also backing it up. You know, the ability that he has, which I think is fantastic, obviously, to see. He used to be at CSKA Moscow, but spent last season at IFK Norrköping in the Swedish top flight, where he had a 1 in 2 goal scoring record from the left wing, as well as averaging 2 key passes per game. I also like that Blackburn are venturing into leagues around Europe to do their business, because there are so many gems out there, and I think they might have one here. Bristol City, Tommy Conway is only going one way, and that's to the top. And I'm so sorry, Bristol City fans, that it's not Alex Scott. At the time of recording, it looks like he's going to be going to Wolves. I think Bournemouth will link with him as well. And look, he's just too much of a talent, really, to stay. His star is going to rise so high. You got to go and get that cash. But it's not all bad, because I know the owner has got some money, and with the Scott money being 100% profit, it's going to allow you to spend this summer. But as far as one to watch next season goes, I don't think we can look past Tommy Conway. I think he's a real natural striker. He scored 9 goals in the Championship last season as a 20-year-old. Let's remember that. And next season, I think he could easily get himself 15 and prove to be that star for Bristol City. Because there's 2 teams, isn't there? Don't want to upset anyone. Cardiff, Aaron Ramsey. Come on. Had to be him, didn't it? Aaron Ramsey is back home at the home of Welsh football, some might say. And his son has signed for the academy. Now, name me a more wholesome story than that. Beautiful. Oh, wait. Not for long. Now, I think a lot of people are forgetting that Ramsey was actually pretty prominent in the Nice team last season. He featured 27 times in Ligue 1, but the exciting thing about him moving to Cardiff is that he's going to be deployed as a number 10. Now, he's mostly used as part of a double pivot at Nice, but he's far, far better in the final third, and his quality is going to allow him to take the mickey at times. I think if you watch him, make sure you try and count how many back heels or flicks he makes in a match. He's too good at it. Coventry, one to watch because it's a big, big season for him. Ellis Sims. He's got a massive season ahead of him. Being the Gyökeres replacement could weigh heavy on Ellis Sims' shoulders, but I think he's going to be able to rise above it based on this. Now, he scored 7 goals in 14 starts in the first half of the season for Sunderland last year, and he had a 22% conversion rate, which is pretty decent. Last season, Coventry created 1.8 big chances per 90, and I think Sims will likely be on the end of most of those, as Gyökeres was last season, the last couple of seasons. And I think the midfielders behind him and the attacking wing-backs that Coventry play with will play perfectly to his strength, and I think he's ready to become the main guy in a side. Huddersfield Town, Jack Rodoni. This is the season for the lad. After jumping up 2 leagues last year from Wimbledon to Huddersfield, I think Jack Rodoni... I think he's set for a massive season next year based off one big reason. I think his form last season makes me very hopeful that he's going to be a really important creator for Huddersfield. But what I also like about him is that he can play within a double pivot or as the 10. The way he sort of peels out wide to receive the ball, I think is a good hallmark in showing that he's a confident player who wants the ball, and that confidence could get him very far next season for Huddersfield. Hull City, Regan Slater, one of quite a few that could thrive at Hull City next season. It could actually be quite an exciting one for them. because of the squad that they have. They've even beaten Galatasaray in pre-season. There are a few names I like in the team, such as Oscar Stupinian, who obviously did pretty well last season, as well as Liam Delap, who has gone there on loan from Manchester City. And we can't forget about Ozan Tufan, who's he's too good for the division, really. But I think that Regan Slater is very underrated for what he offers from midfield. Hull tend to play with a double pivot, with Slater operating as a box-to-box midfielder. And at times, he looked excellent making those late runs into the box. If he can get consistent at doing this, and Hull start to dominate matches, I think there's no reason that he could end up with 12 to 15 goals and assists next year. Yeah. Next up, my boy, Connor Chaplin. Now, if you haven't watched the Dream Teams with Freddie Ladapo and Connor Chaplin, it is the funniest video I've ever put on my channel. Simple. They're so funny in it. Go and watch it. Now, it's ridiculous. It talks about kidnapping. It's mad. Go watch that when you get a chance. Go watch all the Dream Teams. They're really good. But Connor Chaplin, he is one unique player. This guy scored 26 goals last season. He wasn't even playing as a 9. Connor Chaplin was a complete and utter joke in League One last season. He came away with 26 goals, as I said, and 5 assists, playing as a secondary striker behind George Hurst or Freddie Ladapo. He also scored 5 of those goals outside of the box, which makes it even more exciting for him in the Championship. And I think if he continues this next season, it's going to genuinely be just fantastic to watch. He is one hell of a little player. I love him. And a bloody good bloke. Leeds United, Ethan Ampadu. It's a little bit boring, but I think he's going to really thrive. He's so reliable. I think if Ampadu plays at the base of midfield, he could be one of Daniel Farke's main guys next season as to who he looks to rely on each week. He had a good season on a personal level for Spezia last season, despite getting relegated and featured mainly as a centre-back. But I think he's a lot better as a pivot, and I think in Farke's system, he could be that destroyer that looks to recycle possession. In my head, he's probably, he's lower Premier League level, and Leeds have done really well in getting him for 7 mil. That's pretty cheap in this day and age, and he's also incredibly snide, so you can expect some crunches next season. I think he's one that opposition fans will heavily dislike. Leicester City, Harry Winks, what is he even doing in this division? But he's there. Could be essential for their system this year as well, because in pre-season, Leicester played against Northampton and had a very interesting system that looked like a back 3, but at times morphed into a 4, which shows that Leicester have ambitions to play really attractive football next season. What I also noticed was that Harry Winks operated at the base of midfield, and he looked extremely classy there, and it was a key part of their distribution. I expect Leicester to dominate possession next season heavily, and Harry Winks at the base is going to be key. I expect him to be amongst one of the best in the league for passing metrics next season. Middlesbrough, Morgan Rogers. Carrick will unlock his potential this season. At Blackpool last season, Morgan Rogers wasn't really presented with the best opportunity to demonstrate how good he can be, but from what we know about Borough under Carrick, I think it's that he improves players and he nurtures potential. This is why the signing of Morgan Rogers from Man City is such an exciting one for this division this year. If Carrick can get that end product out of him, he's going to be one of the best in the league next year. Millwall, Kevin Nisbet. Him and Fleming could be real nice next season. So for those of you who don't know about Kevin Nisbet, Millwall have just signed him for around $2 million from Hibernian, and he had a fantastic season last year, scoring 12 goals in 16 Scottish Premiership starts. What I like about him is that he's a classic poacher, and he's always going to be in the box on the end of those chances. Now, I know Tom Bradshaw, who also does this similar role, but you've got Nisbet here, and the fact that he's 26 years old, I think he could be the one that Millwall back long term. And with him being a classic poacher, I think he'll build up a good relationship with Zion Fleming, who always drifts around the box and is always a threat. Norwich City, Bali Mumba, he's a star boy. Bali Mumba spent last season on loan at Plymouth Argyle and was one of the key players in their promotion from League One. He was so good, he even won the Young Player of the Season award for League One. The impressive thing is that he played as a left wing back and as a right wing back and excelled in both roles, which means it's easy for Norwich to find ways of getting him into the team. He came away with 6 goals, 7 assists last year, and if he brings that form to the Championship, he's going to be scary. Congratulations, Plymouth Argyle, back in the Championship. Morgan Whittaker could be the signing of the season for you guys. Now, Whittaker was on loan at Plymouth from Swansea last season, but Argyle have made the loan permanent with a fee of $1 million being spent on the forward. The signing of Whittaker alone shows how far Plymouth have come as a club, and with the intent this signing shows, it looks like they're not just in the Championship to make up the numbers, which is annoying as a QPR fan. Playing as an inverted forward for Argyle last season, Whittaker was equally good at goal scoring as well as creating, putting up 9 goals and 7 assists in 19 starts. And also, quick shout out to Freddie Asaka, too, who at 16 could be a breakout star. Get your PNE out. Preston North End, Calvin Ramsey. After signing for Liverpool last year, he's been incredibly unlucky when it comes to injuries, and that has somewhat stunted his progress. But at 19, don't worry about it, because he's back fully fit, and he could be in for a big season this year. The season before he signed for Liverpool, he averaged 1.8 key passes per 90 from right back for Aberdeen, which shows the attacking quality that he can provide. And if he stays fit, he could be a really dangerous prospect for Preston from that right wing back position. Right, it's that time. 3/4 of the way through a video when we're talking about the Championship. That's right, it's time to talk about QPR. And my pick as one to watch is new signing Ziad Larkesh. Now, with a name like that, you gotta be a baller, and we need you to be a baller, son. But it's gonna be fine because, look, a 20-year-old left back who came through PSG Academy, what could go wrong? Yes! Yes, please. Ziad Larkesh could thrive next season at QPR. Now, I know a lot gets said about the style of play under Gareth Ainsworth, but I'd like to put forward this argument. Joe Jacobson, remember him? Yeah, he was well good under Ainsworth. And at one point, he was one of the key parts of the Wickham squad that did so well, which everyone seems to have forgotten about as well. And with the technical ability that he had as the left back or left wing back, I think in Larkesh, this will be something that Ainsworth looks to do next season, which means he could be a key player in both attack as well as defence. Come on, son, please be good. Rotherham United, Cafu, not that one. Where is he? He's over there. Not the one I played with. Have I ever told you? I think the acquisition of Cafu from Nottingham Forest could be quite a shrewd bit of business that many are going to overlook this summer. As a central midfielder, he offers a bit of everything and will complement the midfield nicely. That being said, I think the real one to watch will be whoever Rotherham get in to replace Chidozie Ogbene, because his output as that direct winger last season was so important in ball progression and driving the team up the pitch, and that needs to be replaced. Sheffield Wednesday, George Byers. Any Byers? Yes, one over here, please, because he's so underrated. Now, we all think of Barry Banham when it comes to Sheffield Wednesday, and why wouldn't we? He's great, and he did that funny thing where he took the mickey out of Ryan Brewster.
Whoa. Ryan Brewster, you're absolutely honking, son.
But I think someone who goes under the radar outside of Sheffield is George Byers. He was absolutely brilliant last season as that right-sided 8. The output this guy puts up is fantastic. He averaged 2.8 tackles per 90 last season, but was also very useful in attack and chipped in with 6 goals. Southampton, Carlos Alcaraz. No, not that one. This guy's a footballer and he's about to set the Championship alight. Now, after the other Carlos Alcaraz won Wimbledon, it's time for Southampton's one to be an ace next season. Now, I thought Alcaraz was a bit of a baller in the Prem last season, even with Southampton's struggles. What I like about him is that he always ensures he gets a shot-taking opportunity. I generally expect this guy will average around 4 shots per 90 next season and will serve up some match points. No doubt about that. He's way too good for the Championship, and when similar situations have happened in the past, like Buendia, they go on and they take the mickey, really. So there's no doubt that he'll be McEnroe upon row get off their seat. You better believe it. Come on. Hit the like button. Stoke City, Tyrese Campbell. This will be the season that we've been waiting for when it comes to this guy. Tyrese Campbell has always shown promise as a player, but this season could be the one where he explodes. Not literally. He's had enough injury problems, because last season he got himself back into the fray. He got 9 goals, which matched his best return in a Championship season. He mostly played off the left, but this season I think Stoke may look to play him more down the middle as a 9 and use that pace that he's got. If this is the case, I think that unlocks those extra goals that he's capable of. He's also got off to a flyer in pre-season, got himself a hat-trick against Notts County and a goal against Levante. Sunderland, Jensen Seelt, the perfect modern centre-back. Jensen Seelt has just arrived from PSV, where he played last season in their B team. He performed excellently there and is quite an exciting prospect at just 20 years old. On the ball, I think he's great, and he's capable of playing in a high-line system or in a low block, which I think is testament to, first of all, his versatility and quality, but also that defensive acumen. And with what he showed in possession last season, he almost feels like a perfect centre-back for Sunderland and Tony Mowbray. Swansea, Matt Grimes, but wait! He's not the only one. So Matt Grimes is inevitably going to be the invaluable player for Swansea next season, as he always is, and I always put him forward. The new Swansea boss, Michael Duff, doesn't always ensure his teams have the lion's share of possession, which of course is what Ross Martin did heavily, but when they attack, they do it with tempo and energy. Matt Grimes' passing ability is going to be huge for this. The other players that I wanted to give a quick mention to are Cameron Congreve and Josh Thomas. So Michael Duff, he had the youngest squad in League One last season, and he gave young players the platform to shine. And I think in Congreve and Thomas, Swansea have two potential wonder kids on their hands. Thomas has been firing in pre-season and may actually get a chance in the first team under Duff. So keep an eye out for Congreve and Thomas as well. Watford, Reece Healy's a natural goal scorer. Last season, he was at Toulouse and didn't really feature much, which didn't make much sense because the season prior to that, in Ligue 2, he bagged 20 goals. So for Watford to get him on a free transfer, it feels like a low-risk move that could result in really high rewards. It's pretty clever stuff. He's very similar to Jamie Vardy in the way that he plays, and that could be of use in the Championship this season. But the problem with Watford is that their squad is massive. So picking one player to stand out has actually proved pretty difficult. West Bromwich Albion, Brandon Thomas Asante. He is due a big season. I always love watching him. I think he always delivers when it comes to the eye test. And Thomas Asante did well last season. Scored 7 goals in the Championship, but he's 24. You're a man, son. Sounds weird, doesn't it? But I think this could be the season where he sort of cements himself as a Championship goal scorer and he shows his quality as well. I think he's much more than just a goal scorer. He's got good technical ability, ability to beat a man, and has the flexibility to mix up his game because of this. And if West Brom can create the chances, I think he's in for a good year. Right, there's some players to just keep an eye out on. That's all of them in a spicy Championship season. But which one of these players will be the Carolina Reaper this season? And which ones are going to be Lemon and Herb? Let me know.